All right, man. Yeah. So Miguel Cotto versus Austin Trout. This is the post fight video. I'm also going to get into the Manny Pacquiao Juan Manuel Marquez 4 fight that's coming up on this weekend. All right, man. So Miguel Cotto, in what was supposed to be, I guess, in the eyes of a casual boxing fan, surely in the eyes of my family members, I went to see the fight on my Puerto Rican side of my of my family tree. I went to see the fight at their house, and you know, the general feeling, the general consensus in the house was that this was a tune-up fight, and I guess in their mind was, you know, if they're not paying for the fight, and Miguel Cotto was on a regular cable channel, that it has to be a tune-up fight, and it has to be something to where Cotto is going to come in there and just, you know, and pretty much knock the dude out, or win a landslide fight. So of course, you know, because I don't keep my fucking mouth shut, you know, I'm jumping in there and I'm telling them, like, well, you know, I don't think it's going to go down like that. You know, Trout can fight. Me being the only person in the house that even saw Trout fight, you know. But of course, you know, they're looking at me. I don't do well at my family's house when it comes to boxing, and especially when it comes to Cotto fighting. Because if you watch any of my other videos, I haven't been too complimentary towards Miguel Cotto because, you know, personal preference, I just don't like his style, and I think that he, you know, he's a guy that just, over the course of time, you know, it was a matter of time before he got exposed, you know, and when Trinidad was leaving the sport and Cotto was coming into the sport, I was just one of, you know, I was the last of the Puerto Ricans, you know, that just didn't jump on the hype train, you know what I'm saying? Because I seen these things in them. I seen these things that were waiting to get exposed, and they got exposed this weekend. But at any rate, I was being looked at as a little bit of a hater, and then when it actually happened, you know, I sure as fuck didn't get no props for it, but, you know, whatever. It is what it is. None of that matters, though, because I didn't make a prediction video on this channel. And if I'm honest with myself, the reason why I didn't make a prediction video was because if I had to predict, I probably would have had Cotto winning the fight. You know, and I've been wrong on the last two Cotto predictions. I had Margarito in the second fight beating Cotto. That was my prediction, and I was wrong. And I had Mayweather winning in the second fight, but I had Mayweather stopping him. And if you listen to the prediction video for the Mayweather-Cotto fight, I still look at that as a wrong prediction because I had it going a completely different way than it went, and it was actually a competitive fight. So I look at that as me being wrong, you know. So in this particular fight, I thought that there was a possibility that Trout could have won, but I would have picked Cotto to win, and I would have only picked him based on the fact that it was in Madison Square Garden, and you know how it is. You know, we've seen shit. You know, when somebody's let alone when they're a favorite, but when they're fighting at home, and especially Cotto at Madison Square Garden is a huge edge. You know, so I just said fuck it. I'm just going to stay away from making a prediction altogether. But what we got was a lopsided victory for Austin Trout. Austin Trout, he just looked really good, man. He looked really, really good, yo. Put together his punches nicely. His fucking defense, man. His defense was, you know, my idea, man. When I watch somebody fight, that's what I want to see. You know, that's what I want to see. As soon as he got even close to being in the corner, his back didn't even touch the rope, and he found a way right out of it. If Cotto was landing anything, it was on the top of his head while he was moving out. He looked really good, and he's putting his punches together. Nice, crisp combinations, quick, you know, nice jab. Just everything about him, you know, and his footwork and defense was just really, really good, you know. So it's an excellent performance for Trout. And I think the story of this fight was more about what Trout was doing and not what Cotto wasn't doing. I don't think that Cotto beats a guy like Trout at 154. I don't think he beats him ever. I don't think he does. I just don't think that's his kind of thing, you know. And I've said it before, I don't see too many wins at 154 pounds for Miguel Cotto. It's a fucking stacked division, stacked. You know what I'm saying? It's probably the best division in boxing. If not 140, it's got to be 154. So I don't see a whole lot of wins there for him because he doesn't have the physical. He's not imposing enough. He's small for 154, so he's not going to just you know, he's not going to outbox the boxers, and he's sure as fucking he's not going to outslug the sluggers, because we've seen him. You know, we've seen Cotto get stopped, and at 154 pounds, it's much more likely. You know, so when people were saying to themselves, and I was one of them, they were saying, why is Cotto choosing to pick Trout? You know, the more I thought about it after the fight happened, it became a little bit more clear. You know, the Canelo fight, you know, he will fight Canelo. And if you believe Richard Schaefer, he still, after this loss, will fight Canelo, because there's some money there. But a fight against Angulo, you know, Angulo's like Margarito 2.0 or fucking 3.0. You know, he's just a bigger and better and stronger version of Margarito. That fight wouldn't work out great for him. A fight against James Kirkland, I guess he's got a shot. You know, James Kirkland can be chinny. We've seen him react, you know, weird to punches. And if that Japanese dude that doesn't have excellent power was able to knock Kirkland out, I guess Cotto would have had a shot there. But we've also seen him get up off the deck and beat a guy like Angulo. And I think if Kirkland's on his A game, I think he beats Cotto. You know, I don't see a whole lot of wins. And the Laras and Molinas and as we saw, the Trouts of the world beats Miguel Cotto. So I see a lot. There's still some fights there for him. The Mayweather 2 fight is there, Canelo fight is there, and maybe a fight against a guy like Sergio Martinez, or maybe a Pacquiao 2 fight there. I just don't see a whole lot of wins. And you tell me, man. You tell me out of those 4, who's he going to beat? I don't really see him winning any of those fucking fights. So Cotto's had an excellent run as a fighter. I think it's time for him. You know, I think he's got, you know, get paid, get a couple paydays in there. But I think it's time for him to start looking into retiring. You know, it's just a matter of size, and it's gonna start to become a matter of age. You know, he can't make 147 because he's too big for it. He can't physically make the weight. And at 154, I don't think he has enough power. And I don't think he has enough skills. I don't think he has enough power. And I really don't think he has a good enough chin to hang at 154. So that's my thing with that. Austin Trout, I kind of feel bad for dude because, you know, I don't think anybody's gonna be lining up to fight him. I don't think the Canelo fight is ever gonna happen. I think Canelo fights Cotto. I think he fights Mayweather, and I think he probably moves up to 160 after that and tries to fight Martinez maybe at a catch weight, or tries to fight a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., which would be a huge fucking fight for both of them. If Chavez can stay at 160 somehow, if he can regulate his weight and keep himself small for a little while. But a fight against Canelo, you know, Trout versus Canelo is probably not something that's going to happen. It kind of sucks because all roads lead at 154 to Canelo. But if Trout could fight somebody like Kirkland, if he could get a fight with somebody like K9, I'm sorry, not Kirkland, if he could get a fight with somebody like K9, pick up another strap, then anybody looking to unify, and I don't think Canelo necessarily is, but anybody else looking to unify would have to see Trout, you know, because he'd have 2 out of the, you know, however many fucking belts. I think there should be only 4 main belts, but who knows with the diamonds and regulars and supers and all that shit. But he'd have two main belts, you know. So if you're looking to unify, they'd have to go through Trout. But yeah, man, and a fight between Lara and Trout. I know that for people that like action fights, that's not the fight that they want to see. But for my likings, Lara and Trout, man, that would be for me, it'd be a fucking super fight. I'd really like to see that fight because I would not be able to call it, and I wouldn't, you know, if I'm listening to this, if I'm you listening to this, I wouldn't expect a prediction video from me on that one because I don't think I could go against Lara, and after what I've seen Trout do, you know, I don't think I could go against Trout either. So that's pretty much what it is. All right, Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez. It's the 4th fight. All right. Yeah, there's only one way I can see Pacquiao winning this fight, and it really has nothing to do with Pacquiao, and it has everything to do with Marquez. The only way Pacquiao can win this fight is if the weight, Marquez having to put on the extra couple pounds. They're fighting at the full welterweight limit now, which is 147. And the last time they fought at 144. If the extra weight affects Marquez in terms of speed and mobility, then maybe Pacquiao has a chance, but I don't really think it's the speed. I think it's more the timing with Marquez. So as long as the timing is there, I would assume that the extra weight, I don't think the extra weight will be that much of a deal. And assuming that he's, you know, he looks fucking ripped and he seems to have put on a lot of muscle, so maybe the extra weight would even add to his power a little bit. which would be an advantage, because I don't think it's the speed. I think it's the timing with him. But if the weight did affect him, then that could be a problem. And also the age. He was 39 when they last fought. He's going to be 40. I'm thinking he's going to be 40 this time around. I'm not sure if he was 38 or 39, but he was definitely close to 39. So he's probably going to be 40 going into this fight. So, I mean, if he somehow just got old in this past year, maybe, I don't know. I guess that would have to do with the speed and getting old and putting on the weight, but I don't see that happening. I think we all know that fighters like Manny Pacquiao and fighters like Roy Jones that rely on their physical gift and prowess don't last as long as a guy like a Marquez or a guy like Hopkins or even what I think will be a guy like Mayweather. They just don't last as long in boxing. So I think Marquez will be fine. So I'm going to have to go ahead and pick Marquez to win the fight. I think that if Manny Pacquiao hasn't been able to do it, if you score fights like me, I've got Marquez winning all three of the fucking fights. But if you want to call the first fight a draw for Pacquiao, then the second fight, Marquez edged it out, but he won. It was pretty clear that he won. The third fight was a fucking landslide. As a matter of fact, the third fight is the whole reason why I started making YouTube videos. I was so upset with that decision. I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna just make a video." The third fight was a landslide. The most you could get for Pacquiao would be 4 rounds, and I think he'd be generous giving him 4 rounds. I don't think I could find 4 rounds that Pacquiao won in that fucking fight. I really don't. So, if you're looking at the trend that's starting to happen, every fight Marquez is pulling away with it even further and further and further from Pacquiao. And in boxing, especially a sport like boxing, it usually doesn't work like that. If you fought to a standstill the first fight, the second fight he won, but not by much. The third fight he fucking smoked you. The fourth fight you're not going to win. You shouldn't win the fourth fight, because if already stylistically, if he's the better fighter, if he's matching up better against you, then that, and especially with age, that trend is going to continue. It should continue, with the exception of him being able to knock Marquez out cold. Or score a couple knockdowns. I don't see that shit. I don't see it happening. I think that the third fight he pitched a fucking damn near a shutout. Because even the rounds that Manny Pacquiao won, I think Pacquiao may have won one clear round. Even the rounds that he won were kind of like, okay, here. So, I think it's getting to the point to where it's leading in that direction. So yeah, I'm looking for Marquez to win the fight. I like Marquez. I like Marquez winning the fight anyways, because I think if Marquez wins the fight, then the obvious choice would obviously be Marquez versus Bradley later on in 2013, and Rios versus Pacquiao, which would be good. You know what I'm saying? And then you get, I think that Bradley beats Marquez. I'm almost positive Bradley beats Marquez, and then you get Bradley and Rios, and then if Rios, or if Pacquiao would have beat Rios, then you get Bradley and Pacquiao, and then you get Rios. There's a good combination of fights that could happen. If Pacquiao just beats Marquez, maybe Marquez says, "Fuck it, it's time to hang it up," and he gets taken out of that little round robin, that little tournament, kind of thing that we could have going on there. And as far as fans, as far as the diehard Pacquiao fans are concerned, he hasn't fucking lost a fight in forever, So if he did lose this fight, they could say, "Okay, fuck it, he lost this fight. Maybe he goes out there and fights Rios, and he looks really good, and then." Whatever. I think it'd make more sense if Marquez won the fight, in other words. But yeah, man, that was a quick prediction. I got Marquez winning the fight by a big margin. I don't think it's going to be close. But I guess we'll find out at 12 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. We should know what it is. Leave your comments in the meantime and let me know what you think. Peace.